I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and a couple of weeks ago we played a game. I did a live stream where I let a random color picker I found on the internet pick the colors for colorways and then spun a wheel to determine what technique I should use to dye the yarn. This stream was so much fun. I really recommend that you go and check out the replay. But right now I want to recap the colors that we drew, the colorways I dyed, and the yarn bases I dyed, because there were a lot of different yarn bases as well. I will be inserting some clips from the live stream into this recap, so that way you can watch my reaction as I drew the different colors. Whew, okay, so we are going to be drawing for color number 1. Click and go, let's see. Ooh! Ooh! All right, we've got a green palette. A very green palette. It actually matches the wheel really, really well. Ooh, ooh. I mean, forest green might be a little blue, but my gut is saying like forest, moss. And then I'm gonna probably have to look at the Dharma website, which I didn't have prepared, so I'll have to like set that up. Let's spin the technique. I think I could do almost anything with that. Are we ready? Oh man. Ooh! Okay, this is fun. This is gonna be fun. This was the first of a few green colorways that I ended up drawing during the live stream. Since the technique was yarn mop, I knew that I was going to be wiping dry powder off of my fingertips onto the yarn. And so I pulled forest green, avocado, and lichen to create our palette. This is a technique that often happens as I'm speckling or using dry powder on something else. So I actually removed some of each of the colors of powder and put it into a little container to make it a little bit easier for me to access the dye. Some of you actually picked out the yarn bases that I was going to dye in this stream as part of a pre-order. And so for the first colorway, I dyed Knit Picks Swish DK, which is 100% superwash merino, Nomad Steam, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% alpaca, a worsted weight yarn, and then Dyer Supplier's older superwash BFL yarn base. The package I had was labeled DK weight, but looking at this and counting the wraps, I actually believe it was the superwash BFL fingering weight yarn, and so I will be labeling it accordingly. I have another video where I dyed this base coming up, and I counted the wraps and everything to determine it is fingering weight yarn. This yarn base was a very fun way to start off the game, and so I was really excited to spin for colorway number 2. So we can do color number 2, and we're gonna go to the color generator. Drum roll, please. I don't have a drum roll sound effect, so. All right, go. Ooh. Okay. It's really liking greens right now. Oh man. So we've got a beautiful gray. We've got a mint green. And then we've got this other green right here. Which I think, I don't know which one I'll do. Maybe even though it's not quite right, maybe I would do teal just so I can use something different. All right, and let's see the technique. Wait, why didn't it spin? What's it gonna be? Oh no! Oh no. Oh no! Oh no! No! Okay, I can embrace the color mixing. Oh! I can do it. I can do it. Well, we had another predominantly green colorway to deal with. And I think the only reason why I was a little disappointed that I had to mix this from primary colors is the fact that as soon as I saw the swatches, I was already excited to play with Spearmint Breeze. So, you know, I had in my head the colors I wanted to use. Maybe I was going to pick Tornado Gray, and then I'm not sure about for the other green. But I had a vision of where I wanted to start, and so then when I was like, oh no, I need to mix these myself. Thankfully though, true black is a primary color. At least, you know, it's a Dharma primary pigment, right? And so therefore I had already established that I was allowed to use any primaries. And so I mixed two different greens using Caribbean blue, fluorescent lemon, and brilliant yellow from Dharma. And then I forget if I added a little bit of a pink to one of the greens to make it a little bit more like muted. And then to the black I added, I don't know, I added some other primary colors to help make the gray, and I diluted it. And then we used a layered hearts technique, an immersion technique to create this colorway. I'm not sure how much this actually captures the essence of the different greens that I mixed, but I think it's a really pretty colorway. It's different from the first one, although still very, very green. The three yarn bases we have here are Hawthorne Sock, which is 80% superwash fine Highland wool, 20% polyamide. We have Chroma fingering weight yarn, which is 70% superwash wool, 30% nylon. And then we have Dyer Supplier's 80/20 sock yarn, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. I think all across the board in this stream, the colorways were really, really similar, even with the different yarn bases. And it was fun to pull bases from my stash that I don't reach for over and over again. Now, before I drew the next color, so now we're spinning for colorway number 3. And I'm going to say, for purposes of the recap, I asked chat if we got a colorway that was like all green or mostly green again, and I got permission to re-roll. So if we have a colorway that looks very, very, very green, we will have a free roll again. But now let's roll. Okay, I'm re-rolling. I'm not even going to the other thing. I'm just going to re-roll. And the one that was there before, I was just like, why? I think I clicked it by accident or something when I came over. Okay. That doesn't count. Let's try this again. Does this count? It's got 2 greens. We're rolling again. We're rolling again. Okay, guys, we got another colorway. We did it. We got something that's not all black, and we got something that isn't green. Okay, I don't know what colors I'm going to do yet, but let's see. Twisted skeins. All right. All right. I think on camera you can really see the 2 different browns in here. I used a combination of teddy bear brown, which is sort of our cooler toned brown here, chocolate brown, which is the warmer, redder brown, and then sea spray, which is this more muted bluish color, which I'm happy to say looks quite blue and not very green. I started dyeing the twisted skeins, which were already pre-soaked along with the rest of the yarn, in the sea spray, and then I think I went to the chocolate brown, and then finally the teddy bear brown. I believe that's the order that I went. At the end, there ended up being a lot more dye than I thought, so I have some yarn mops that I've used throughout the entire stream. I'll show those at the end, that I did use to soak up a lot more of that brown. There was a fair amount of white left, and something felt a little bit missing to me, so I went ahead and over-dyed the whole thing with a tiny bit of sea spray that I had left. And bringing in some very pastel blues into here gave everything a more even finish, plus just added a little dimension and reduced the contrast a little bit. The yarn bases we have here are Knit Pick's Stroll Fingering Weight Yarn, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Filatura de Crosa's Zara DK, which is like one of the most bouncy DK yarn bases ever. It starts fairly stretched out, but it really blooms and compresses after it's dyed. I love it. And then Knit Picks Surefoot sock yarn, which is 40% superwash wool, 40% mohair, 20% polyamide. And I think this is the first time I've ever dyed it, and it took up color really beautifully, and I'm really happy with it. I plan to do one of these streams again, and I think that next time I go and do this, I might draw or spin for the techniques first, so that way I can place them in an order that would make sense for the stream. Since this technique has a fair number of waiting steps for each kettle dyeing stage, it might be something that would be a little bit easier to start towards the beginning of the stream. And so yeah, I definitely want to do this again. Please make sure you subscribed and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video and you don't miss a stream. Also let me know down in the comments what kinds of variations you would like to see me do for next time. And now it's time for me to draw for the final color. We are going to try for color 4. All right, something bright. I know, I want something bright too. Ready? Okay, that's not bright, and it does have a green, but that's actually really pretty. Really, really pretty. Okay, it's a forest green, sort of like a berry purple, and then it's like a bright blue. This has just been super green heavy, huh? All right, let's do this. I don't want Gorgum. It's gonna be Gorgum, isn't it? Come on, come on! Yes! Woohoo! That's what I wanted! Oh, I'm happy! Oh, thank you for not being Gorgum! Thank you, thank you! Well, our final colorway of the night has a lot of green in it as well. It is what it is. For the speckled colorway, I pulled Dharma's Forest Green, Teal Green, and Plum Dandy. I think that Cabernet might have been a better choice to get sort of that deep purple. Plum Dandy gave a much brighter spread, but I really like the way that this combination of colors came together. It really looks beautiful on all of the different yarn bases that I dyed for this round. The 3 yarn bases we dyed this time were Knit Picks Swish DK, the Filatura de Crosa DK Superwash Merino. Both of these are 100% Superwash Merino. And then Hawthorne Sock Yarn, which again is 80% Superwash Fine Highland Wool, 20% polyamide. I want to quickly draw your attention to the Swish DK versus the Zara DK. And the difference here is because the Zara, since it's like 4-ply of 2 plies, and it ends up being this like really round and high twist, and the swish is a lot loftier, the speckles end up feeling a little bit smaller on the Zara yarn. But that's because it does look a lot more stretched out before you've dyed it. I actually have a whole video, I believe, comparing speckles on this base that you can go and check out if you want to hear me talk about it more, but I'm so happy that I got to speckle on both of these bases. I love how they turned out. This is another technique where if I had known the techniques I was going to do in advance, I would have placed earlier in the stream before bringing out the hot plate. Because since I didn't have a camera over on the stove and I had a limited space available on the counter, doing countertop speckles wouldn't really have worked very easily. I could have worked within a pan, but it would have been a little crowded. And so if I was going to arrange the techniques myself, then maybe I would have moved this up into the number 2 spot because I could have done it on the counter, move things to the stove into a steamer basket before setting up for the other colorways. But that's the fun thing with creating my own game. I can change the rules and change how I do it next time. And there will be a next time because I had a lot of fun. I dyed 2 different yarn mops in this stream. Both of these are Knit Picks Hawthorne DK, 80% Superwash Fine Highland Wool, 20% polyamide. And one of them I ended up putting into a pot of brown dye to help soak up the rest of those colors there. And so this one has some very subtle teal and green hints, and the other has a lot more of all the colors that I'd used with powders. Unlike the rest of the colorways from this live stream, these 2 I didn't pre-sell. So go and check out the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. These will be available whenever I do my next shop update. And here's all of the yarn that I dyed during the live stream. Now, there are many different things that I could tweak going forward. But how can I solve we got a lot of muted random colors and we got a lot of green. There are settings on the color generator that will let me pick random all colors, or I can go dark, light, or bright. And so if things are feeling more muted, then I can go into another direction to try to get a colorway that feels a little bit more different. Or we can come up with some kind of rule or something to do if we want to exclude all greens from future colorways or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I love green. I think I was just hoping to get a little bit more randomness in some of the color palettes. And a lot of the colorways here aren't necessarily colors I've put together in the past. And so for that, it was very awesome and fun and inspiring. I just think that from a performance perspective, having a little bit more variation in the palette would be a little more interesting for the viewer. But I love the way that these colors worked out, and I want to play more with some of these color combinations in the future. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and a huge thank you to everyone who pre-ordered yarn for this stream, and to all of you for watching.